Okay, hello team. We're back with the state of Wisconsin versus Stephen Avery. Okay, I'm sorry about that. Back with the state of Wisconsin versus Stephen Avery. Remember, we left off with the court had taken a recess, and now we're back from recess, and we'll start with the court talking. So the first thing there is the jury is present, and we will start with the court. Ready? Let's begin. The court. You may be seated. Members of the jury, at this time we're going to hear the opening statement from the state. Mr. Kratz, you may begin. Attorney Kratz. Thank you, Judge. May it please the court, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, Mr. Strong, Mr. Budding, Mr. Avery, good morning. Mr. Avery, good morning. Attorney Kratz. We're all a little nervous this morning, and I think that if we admit that, we, being lawyers, and the jurors asked to decide this important matter, I think we're all going to be better off. And on behalf of the state, let me first start by thanking you for your jury service, thanking you for your attention that you are about to give this case, and thanking you in detail for what in jury selection we talked about may perhaps be the most important decision that you will ever make, at least for the rest of your lives. You will note and have already introduced that there are three attorneys on this case. Myself, Ken Kratz, the Calumet County District Attorney. This is my courthouse, and I'm joined by Mr. Fallon, who is seated directly to my right. Mr. Fallon is an Assistant Attorney General with the Department of Justice. And joining us also is Mr. Norm Gahn, Attorney Gahn. That's spelled G-A-H-N. Good morning, Attorney Kratz. Mr. Gahn is an Assistant District Attorney in Milwaukee County, Wisconsin. You will learn that each of us are special prosecutors in this case. But what's so special about a special prosecutor? Why would some small town lawyer from Clinton be in charge of this entire prosecution, this big of a case? Why would Ken Kratz be asked to lead up this prosecution? We'll talk about how this case was assigned over, but just understand, at least for this person, that although we are all experienced prosecutors, we're doing a favor for Manitowoc County. It's a rather big favor for Manitowoc County, but it's a favor nonetheless. It is helping the Manitowoc County District Attorney's Office in prosecuting this case. Mr. Roher, R-O-H-R-E-R, your district attorney, asked me to take over the case early on. You will learn about when that happened, but it is still something that we were simply asked to and we did, in fact, perform. There's two investigators in this case. Now, you are going to hear that there were hundreds of law enforcement officers involved in this investigation, but these kinds of cases require direction. They require leadership by law enforcement officials that have experience. The first lead investigator in the case, who is seated in the courtroom, is Mark Weigert. Mr. Weigert, good morning. Attorney Kratz. Mr. Weigert is an investigator with the Calumet County Sheriff's Department. The other lead investigator in this case is Mr. Tom Fassbender. Mr. Fassbender works for the Department of Justice. He works for a law enforcement branch of the Department of Justice, which is called the Division of Criminal Investigation. And again, knowing who we are, knowing who the five of us are, the prosecution team, we hope may help in determining what's important in these cases. The judge has told you, at least in brief terms, what an opening statement is, but oftentimes evidence comes in bits and pieces, especially in a 6-week trial. That isn't something that you will expect all of the evidence to come at you at once. And so if we can provide a roadmap or an overview of what the evidence is going to show, that should be helpful for you. Some juries that I have spoken to, it's been helpful to describe the process as the provision of the cover of a jigsaw puzzle box. All right, you think of evidence as pieces in a jigsaw puzzle. You wouldn't tell, if you were handed one piece of a jigsaw puzzle, where that's going to go. But if you got the box, and if you have the box, some of the pieces are obvious where they go, some are not so obvious. But at least it's a guide. It's a help for you as to where these pieces all fit. Now, before I go any further, I want to talk to you about something that I know some of you in your specific questions expressed as some concern, and that's the nature of the evidence that's going to be presented. This is a very, very serious crime and potentially has very, very graphic kinds of details that may be involved or may be presented. But there is some uncertainty about how much evidence is going to be presented. And I wanted to assure you, as the lead prosecutor, as the person responsible for the presentation of the case, a couple of things. Number one, perhaps more importantly for you as the jury, I'm only going to present those pieces of evidence that are necessary. Those pieces that are necessary to tell you the entire story. My job is not to present gruesome or overly graphic information for you. And I think as we go through this process, you are going to find that the evidence is pretty straightforward. It is not necessarily gruesome or graphic. Isn't something that you should fear at this early stage. All right? I understand the sensitivities not only of you, but of most of the people seated on the left-hand side of the courtroom. And I want you to look over to the left side of the courtroom. That's where the Halbach family sits. You're going to see them throughout the case, friends and family. And I want to assure you that before the first piece of evidence is ever introduced in this case, every one of those people, the mother, the father, the brothers, the sisters, the family, and any other family members that wanted to, have already seen all of this evidence. All right. I sat down with them and as sensitively as I possibly could, allowed them an opportunity to review the evidence. That's just something that a prosecutor should do, and that's all been done. So as you see photographs being presented, as you see the physical evidence being brought into the courtroom, I want to assure you that the Halbach family already has seen it. They have already known the kinds of evidence that are going to be presented. And I think that that was necessary for you to hear and necessary for you to understand that this family does not have that information. And we will end there on page 43. That was 10 minutes of practice. And we will pick up on page 43. Script 5. See you on the next go round.